A teenager thought he was pulling the ultimate prank when he stole a stranger's phone. But what he unlocked inside didn't just expose secrets. It destroyed everything he thought he knew about his life. And the scariest part? This story is true enough to keep you awake tonight. It started with a decision so small, so reckless, it barely seemed like it mattered. A teenage boy named Darren walked through a crowded bus station, his hoodie pulled low over his face. He wasn't a hardened criminal, just a restless kid, tired of feeling invisible, tired of watching everyone else have what he couldn't. That's when he spotted it. A man, mid-30s, dressed sharp, briefcase at his side, too distracted by his newspaper to notice the glowing phone left carelessly on the bench beside him. Darren's heart raced. His eyes darted around. Nobody was watching. With one smooth motion, he slipped the phone into his pocket. To him, it wasn't just a phone. It was power. It was freedom. He imagined selling it, maybe getting a few $100s, enough to buy the sneakers he always wanted, or even impress the girl at school who never gave him the time of day. But as he walked away, something gnawed at him. The phone didn't buzz, it didn't lock. The screen stayed on, open, almost waiting. And what Darren would find inside wasn't money, wasn't opportunity. It was a door to a darkness he was never supposed to see. Darren ducked into the corner of the station, his pulse still hammering from the theft. He unlocked the phone, half expecting a password prompt. But the home screen opened instantly. No lock, no barriers. Strange. The background image wasn't what he expected either. Not a family photo, not a cool car, not even some generic wallpaper. It was black, pure black, almost like the owner wanted nothing to be seen. He thumbed through the apps. No games, no social media, just a few folders labeled with odd names, clients, sessions, footage. Footage? Curiosity clawed at him. He tapped the folder. At first, the screen showed only a grid of video thumbnails, dozens of them, each one labeled with a date and a single first name. Darren hesitated, his mouth suddenly dry. Against every instinct screaming at him to stop, he pressed play on the first video. Static flickered, then came a dimly lit room. A chair. A person sitting in it, hands bound. Darren's stomach twisted. He paused the video instantly, his breath shallow. His palms were sweating. What was this? He scrolled further, opening another file. This time, the same room, but a different face. Another person bound to the chair, terrified eyes staring at the camera. Darren slammed the phone shut, panic flooding him. He looked around, half expecting someone to be watching him. But the man on the bench was gone. So was his briefcase, and that's when it hit Darren. He hadn't stolen this phone. It had been left for him. Darren's chest heaved as he gripped the phone tighter. The subway sounds around him faded into background noise. He could only hear his own heartbeat slamming in his ears. The man, the one with the briefcase, was nowhere in sight. Gone as if he'd dissolved into the crowd. And that briefcase... Darren swore it had been right there by his side. He replayed the memory in his head. The man sitting still, eyes closed, the case resting at his feet. When Darren snatched the phone, the man didn't even twitch, almost like he wanted it to happen. His stomach knotted. The videos. He had to know more. His thumb hovered over another file, trembling. He pressed play. This one began differently. No static. The same dim room, but the camera angle was closer. Too close. The lens focused on a woman's face, bruised, her lip trembling. A voice spoke from behind the camera, low and deliberate. Confess. The woman shook her head violently. I didn't do it! Please, I don't know anything, the voice repeated, colder this time. Confess. Darren's hand shook so hard he nearly dropped the phone. His brain screamed to stop watching, to throw the device into the nearest trash can and walk away. but his eyes were glued to the screen. The woman's screams filled the empty subway tunnel. Darren's knees went weak. He paused it again, gasping for breath. This wasn't just some creeps collection. This was evidence. Evidence of something monstrous. A sudden buzz jolted him. The phone vibrated in his hand. A notification popped up across the black wallpaper. New file received. Darren's breath caught in his throat. The timestamp was now. Right now. He tapped it without thinking. The video opened immediately, and his blood turned to ice. The footage showed a subway platform. This subway platform. His subway platform. The camera was pointing right at him, and Darren realized with bone-deep terror. Someone somewhere was recording him live. Darren's throat tightened as the realization hit. The camera on the screen panned slightly, tilting closer to where he stood on the cracked subway tiles. His pulse thundered in his ears. He spun around. Dozens of faces blurred past him. Commuters rushing to catch trains. A man scrolling his phone. A woman adjusting her scarf. All normal, all ordinary. Yet Darren felt the weight of unseen eyes burning into him. Who was holding the camera? His gaze darted across the platform, searching for anyone whose stare lingered too long. Nobody. No one seemed to notice him. And yet, on the phone's screen, the lens zoomed in closer, closing the distance as if the cameraman was only a few steps away. "Stop," Darren whispered, his voice shaking. "Stop this." The phone buzzed again. A message this time. Just 3 words. "You are next." Every hair on Darren's arms stood upright. His first instinct was to fling the phone onto the Kindi tracks, to sever the invisible chain pulling him deeper into this nightmare. But something stronger held him back. Curiosity, fear, that gnawing sense that this wasn't random. He stumbled toward the staircase, gripping the rail with clammy hands. The message replayed in his mind over and over. "You are next." As he climbed, another notification popped up. A new video. His thumb shook as he tapped it. The footage was his street, his house. The camera lingered on his front porch, then zoomed in on the door, the doormat, the mail slot. Then, like a blade twisting deeper, the lens tilted upward, locking on his bedroom window. "No! No! No! No!" Darren stammered. His chest tightened, panic clawing at him. Whoever had this phone, they'd been watching him. For how long? He bolted out of the subway station, heart hammering like a drum. Cold night air slapped his face, but it didn't ground him. He ran, weaving through the crowded sidewalk, gripping the cursed device like it was welded to his palm. The phone buzzed again. This time, not a video. A call. The screen glowed with a single word. Unknown. Darren froze in the middle of the street, cars honking as he stumbled back to the sidewalk. The phone rang, vibrating harder and harder, like it demanded to be answered. His thumb hovered over the green button. Every instinct screamed at him not to, that nothing good waited on the other end. And yet, with trembling hands, Darren pressed, "Accept." He lifted it to his ear. For a moment there was nothing but silence. Then, a whisper. Low. Close. Crawling like ice into his bones. "We've been waiting for you." Darren's knees buckled, and he nearly dropped the phone. The whisper lingered in his ear, like whoever spoke was standing just behind him. He spun around, scanning the crowd. Nobody looked his way. Nobody cared. "Who are you?" Darren's voice cracked. "What do you want from me?" The whisper came again, distorted, warping through static. "It's not about what we want. It's about what you've already done." The line went dead. Darren's pulse pounded in his temples. He couldn't breathe. He wanted to throw the phone into the gutter, to run home and lock every door, every window, but some invisible tether bound him to it. The device vibrated again. Another video. His stomach twisted as he tapped it. This time, it wasn't his street. It wasn't his house. It was him. The screen showed Darren standing right where he was now, frozen on the corner, phone pressed to his ear. The video was live, streaming from somewhere impossibly close. He staggered backward, his breath sharp and shallow. Someone was here, watching, filming. He shoved the phone into his pocket and bolted down the block, lungs burning as he ran. His sneakers slapped the pavement, but the phone buzzed in rhythm with his heartbeat. Another message appeared, lighting up his pocket like a flare. He didn't want to look, didn't want to know. But his hand moved on its own, dragging the phone out as he slowed near a deserted alley. The message read, "Check the dumpster." His stomach lurched. He stared into the alley's shadows, a foul stench wafting out. For a moment, he almost turned away, almost walked back into the crowded streets, back into safety. But his body moved forward, one step, then another, drawn like a moth to flame. The dumpster loomed ahead, rusted and overflowing. His hand trembled as he lifted the lid. Inside, beneath bags of rotting trash, was another phone, identical to the one he held. Its screen glowed in the dark, already playing a video. Darren's shaking fingers reached in, lifting the second phone. He tapped the screen. The video was grainy, black and white, a figure tied to a chair, gagged, thrashing in panic. Their muffled screams clawed through the speaker. A hand entered the frame, tattooed, scarred, and held up a sign scrawled in marker. Darren read the words, his blood running cold. "This is what happens to thieves." The figure in the chair looked up. Their swollen eyes, barely visible through the shadows, locked onto the camera. Darren's breath caught in his throat. He knew that face. It was his best friend, Malik. Darren's scream caught in his throat. His grip on both phones tightened until his knuckles turned white. The alley spun around him, the stench of garbage choking his lungs, but all he could see was Malik, bound, broken, pleading for help. No. No, this isn't real. It can't be real. Darren gasped, but the video didn't lie. Malik's tear-streaked face, the bruise across his jaw, the terror in his eyes, it was all too real. The second phone vibrated violently in his hand. A new message appeared across the glowing screen. "Your turn." Darren staggered backward, his knees weak, his mind fracturing under the weight of fear. He looked up and down the alley, desperate for a way out, for someone, anyone who could help. But the alley was empty, silent, watching. Both phones buzzed at once, their tones overlapping into a piercing hum that drilled into his skull. He dropped one, but the sound didn't stop. The messages poured in, flooding the screens, one after another. "You shouldn't have touched what wasn't yours. The game has begun. Trade yourself for him." His chest heaved as he stumbled into the street, headlights blinding him. A car screeched to a stop, horn blaring. The driver cursed, but Darren didn't hear a word. He was running, sprinting through the night, clutching the cursed phone like it was welded to his hand. The video changed mid-stride. No more Malik. This time it was Darren, filmed from above. A drone? A rooftop camera? The angle followed him as he ran, every step captured in crisp, terrifying detail. His breath shattered in his throat. "They're everywhere," he whispered. And then, another sound. Not the phone this time. Real footsteps, heavy. Behind him. Darren whipped his head around. A shadow detached itself from the mouth of another alley, tall, broad-shouldered, face hidden beneath a hood. The figure moved with deliberate slowness, as though it had all the time in the world. The phone vibrated again. Darren raised it with trembling hands. A single line glared back at him. "Run faster." Darren's blood froze. The shadow broke into a sprint. Darren bolted, legs pounding against the pavement, lungs tearing for air. His sneakers slapped the asphalt, echoing like war drums in the dead of night. The figure behind him was faster than human, relentless, closing the distance with each stride. Streetlights flickered above him, dimming one by one as though the darkness itself was chasing him. Every corner he turned, the phone lit up with a new command. Left. Faster? Don't stop. He obeyed without thinking, like a puppet pulled on invisible strings. Every direction felt predetermined, every step part of a path carved for him long before he'd touched the stolen phone. His chest burned, muscles screaming, but he didn't dare look back again. He knew the shadow was still there. He could feel it, smell it, the heavy presence stalking his every move. Finally, he burst into an abandoned construction site, the skeleton of a half-built tower looming overhead. The phone buzzed. In here. Darren hesitated, skidding to a stop. His instincts screamed to keep running, but then, another vibration. Another video. It was Malik again, bound to a chair inside that very construction site. His lips cracked, whispering, "Darren, help me." "No!" Darren choked, shaking his head, tears burning his eyes. "No, no, no." But the shadow stepped into the lot, blocking the way back. Its head tilted slowly, almost curiously, as if amused by his hesitation. The phone buzzed once more. Darren looked down. Final chance. Save him, or join him. The message dissolved, replaced by a live feed. The camera showed Malik strapped into a chair, chains bolted to the concrete floor, and a digital timer counting down. Row 4, 59.5 minutes. Darren's heart exploded in his chest. He ran into the construction site, stumbling over steel beams and broken planks, the phone's glow lighting his path. His cries echoed against the hollow walls. "Malik, where are you?" The timer ticked down. 4. 12. A laugh rose behind him, low, distorted. Not from the shadow, but from the phone itself. The laugh crawled out of the phone's speaker, metallic and warped, making Darren's skin crawl. He spun, searching the hollow site, his breath ragged, heart slamming in his ribs. Then, he saw him. Malik, strapped to a chair under a dangling construction light, its beam flickering like a heartbeat. His wrists bled against the cuffs, his head hung low, but his chest rose and fell. Alive. "Malik," Darren shouted, sprinting forward. Malik's head jerked up, his eyes widened, bloodshot and panicked. "No! Don't!" Too late! Darren's foot landed on a pressure plate hidden beneath the dust. A metallic click echoed, followed by the sickening sound of gears grinding awake. The floor beneath him vibrated. Steel cables snapped loose above. The phone lit up in Darren's hand, screen blinding white. "You triggered it." Chains rattled, and Malik's chair jolted upright, pulling him tighter into place. The timer on the wall glowed brighter. 02:45, Darren's stomach dropped. "No, no, no." He clawed at the mechanism holding Malik, pulling at the steel locks until his hands bled. Malik choked out, "You shouldn't have come." The shadow entered the room, no longer a distant blur, but a hulking silhouette, face still hidden in the dark. Its presence devoured the space, silent except for its slow, deliberate footsteps. The phone buzzed again in Darren's grip. Trade places. Free him, or watch him die. His hands trembled. Sweat poured into his eyes. "What do you want from me?" He screamed at the figure. The shadow tilted its head. Slowly, mockingly. The phone answered for it. Justice. The timer screamed down. 1:15. Darren looked at Malik. Then back at the glowing phone, the choice searing into him. His heart wanted to rip Malik free. His brain screamed it was a trap. But the chair's locks had hinges that matched the cuffs around his own wrists. A realization hit him like ice in his veins. They wanted him in the chair. Darren's pulse hammered in his ears, louder than the ticking clock on the wall. 54. Malik's eyes locked onto his. "Don't do it. Don't trade, just leave me." His voice cracked, desperation and fear twisted together, but Darren couldn't move. His legs felt like concrete, his brain like static. Every second was being stolen from him. The shadow circled, its outline stretching across the flickering walls. It never spoke. It didn't have to. The phone kept spitting its words cold and sharp. Choose. Take his place. Or the chair burns. Darren's knuckles whitened around the phone. He looked at Malik, his best friend, the one who always had his back in every stupid fight, every reckless move, and now, he was the reason Malik was here. Because he'd stolen the phone. He stumbled forward, ripping at the locks. "Switch me in. Do it to me, not him," he shouted. The locks hissed open as if they'd been waiting for that command. Malik screamed, thrashing, "No! Darren, don't!" But Darren shoved Malik aside, forcing his own wrists into the cuffs. The chair snapped shut like the jaws of a trap. Steel bit into his flesh. Malik crawled toward him, sobbing. "Why? Why would you?" The shadow finally stepped into the light. It wasn't a stranger. It wasn't a monster. It was Darren's own father. His face was gaunt. Eyes hollow, scars cutting across his jaw like history carved in stone. "Dad?" Darren whispered, breathless. The phone buzzed one last time in his hand. "Now you understand. Sins are inherited." The timer hit 0. Darkness swallowed the room. A low hum filled the darkness. The air itself seemed to vibrate, pressing against Darren's chest until he thought his ribs might shatter. Then, light. Not warm, not natural. Cold, sterile, and blinding. Darren blinked. He wasn't in the chair anymore. He was standing in a courtroom. The walls towered around him, lined with faceless figures cloaked in black. Their heads turned in eerie unison, eyes glimmering like shards of glass. At the center, his father, still hollow-eyed, still scarred, but dressed in a judge's robe. He raised a gavel, his voice echoing like thunder. "For the theft of innocence, for the crime of curiosity, for opening what was never yours to open, we deliver judgment." The gavel cracked down. The phone in Darren's hand exploded with images. Every petty theft, every fight, every time he betrayed someone's trust. But it didn't stop with him. It spilled further. Malik's lies, Clara's betrayals, even Clara's uncle's darkest secret. Every soul connected to him laid bare. Malik stumbled forward, screaming, "Stop it! He didn't know. He's just a kid." But the figures only leaned closer, whispering in voices that slithered into Darren's ears. "Sins are inherited. Debt must be paid." His father's hollow gaze locked onto him. "You opened the door, Darren. And now you carry them all." Darren's chest tightened. He tried to scream, but no sound came. The phone grew heavier and heavier until his hands burned as though molten iron had fused into his flesh. He dropped to his knees, the screen searing into his skin. Malik's hands gripped his shoulders, shaking him. "Fight it. Don't let them take you." But Darren knew the truth. There was no escape. He'd stolen the phone. He'd stolen more than that. He'd stolen his own future. The courtroom dissolved into smoke, the whispers rising until they drowned out everything. And the last thing Darren heard before the world went black was his father's voice, calm and merciless. "The phone doesn't punish thieves, son. It punishes legacies. Silence, a still bus station bench at dawn. The phone lay abandoned on the cracked pavement, its screen blank, waiting for the next hand reckless enough to pick it up. If this story gripped you, hit subscribe now, because the next tale waiting here will haunt you even deeper. Share this video with someone who thinks they know what secrets are safe. And remember, sometimes the darkest truths are hiding in plain sight.